Click the links to join the channel here over at SubScribeStar, now over at Odyssey. Got a mailbox if you want to mail me some comics or something you want me to read, or a beanie or whatever. So new research on female video game characters uncovers a surprising twist. Says some useful idiot in the most pseudo of pseudo studies, some kind of psychologist, that just says whatever is popular of the day. It's complete garbage. First of all, let me say I love women, and this is coming from someone who women also love. So I'm trying to say, like, I've had the most positive experiences. So this isn't coming from, one of those, angry YouTuber type of places. Women say one thing, and it doesn't usually bear relation to anything important. Right-wing women are worth listening to about 90% of the time, and left-wing women about maybe 10% of the time. They're pretty much useless. Feminism, for 99% of women who say they're feminists, isn't real, and this is a long article, I don't know if you want me to read this at the end, isn't real in the sense that if they find a man who lovingly takes control, all that he just goes out the window, and they will slowly take on his values because they learn that he's correct most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time, and that they have been brainwashed by globalist magazines and other media. And right-wing women have already come to the correct conclusions, so they're already on the same page with their men. All the university garbage, that's all words that they think have validity, but when they find the right-wing guy, they learn that that relationship is real and that he's caring for her and changing her to protect her, and the media and universities are saying things to use her to destroy society. Almost all women with a right-wing guy who starts having kids will basically start turning into Hugo Boss to protect her kids and family structure, which is why the globalists want single women, or to encourage tribe mixing, because they know that single women marry the government or the taxpayer by way of the government. They're kind of rudderless, and the government becomes their daddy when their husband is supposed to be in that role. And sexism isn't really a real concept because it's used as a pejorative. A stable society is supposed to be a patriarchy. Everything has been inverted in the post-war years. 70 years of globalist media propaganda has absolutely destroyed the West. If you don't have the values of your grandfather and great-grandfathers or grandparents in general, you have the values of the media parasites now. And people, like, when you bring this up to people, they get very defensive because nobody likes to admit that they've been brainwashed by a generational brainwashing from these media parasites. So none of those istophobic terms are real. All those words are control words to manipulate people into compliance. Anyway, women, let me tell you something you don't know. Women like to be pretty, and they like pretty things. They like to be the prettiest thing in the room, and they love attention, and they will gladly encourage other girls who are competing for attention to get fat and to have body positivity and go slut walks and STD walks all they want and cut their hair short. It's a famous thing chicks do without even realizing it. Anything they can do to sabotage the competition, they will do. A woman is really self-confident when she won't do that kind of thing, and she'll encourage other girls to get, healthy and fit. But women are not men, no matter what these globalists want you to believe. And how terrifying is it that a Supreme Court justice is unable to define that? Lifetime and Hallmark and like those Christmas type of channels. There's a Christmas channel that goes year round or something, and romance books. That's what the vast majority of women are into, and men are into action adventure type of stories because we're different. So there's the feminist media, the university narrative, then there's reality, and those two things are not connected. They're things that single people believe about the opposite sex, and then that's washed away once that they get in a relationship, and that works for both men and women. Younger men have all these nonsense preconceived notions about things and all that. The thing is, when people start getting in their first relationship, the goal of that relationship is to rub the rough edges off of each other, and hopefully they find out they're compatible and they click and they can they can work together, or it's those rough edges are rubbed off, so by the second relationship then they're ready to get married. But I mean, ideally it's the first relationship. Everything, and whatever the mainstream narrative is like, oh, go sleep around. It's like that should ring alarm bells as, oh, that's probably toxic. Or if the state is pushing to decriminalize and then legalize weed, that should also ring alarm bells. And I know a lot of people love that stuff, but as soon as the government is behind it, then it's not good for you. There's something very nefarious about it, and I mean that's kind of its own thing. But so it's this current situation with SJW's virtue signaling about, because here, I mean, the reality is like the government doesn't want to do anything good for you. Like, oh, they got this Wu flu thing, and don't worry, the taxpayers are going to pay for it. And it's like, there's a ton of other medical things that the taxpayers could also pay for. How come they're not paying for those things? Oh, don't ask questions, Nazi. So this current situation with SJW's virtue signaling about games, movies, it's hard for people who are not terminally online to understand, because the SJWs say one thing for social media acceptance, but they don't actually go to the theater to watch the woke movies or buy the woke video games. Everyone understands that there's going to be a little disconnect online, a little puffing, I guess. But with SJWs and woke, it's a complete case of them saying that they love some idea for some woke product, and then it absolutely fails because those words are as far as they're willing to go. All they have to do to make a movie successful is go to the theater, sit down for 90 minutes, and pay their $15 for the ticket and $5 for popcorn or whatever. That's all it takes. Or go to Disney Plus and watch the latest, Pox, Walks, Transferee, Otherkin Star Wars that looks nothing like Star Wars. But they don't do that. So all those things fail. Or go buy Concord and Dustborn. But they don't. But how's Dragon Age doing? Is that doing? I heard that's doing pretty well. So, who knows? I mean, Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel or something, it made $1 billion, right? It's like, it was also between the two biggest movies in history. But like, not everything is going to be. Barbie also did like $1.5 billion. So every time a liberal or conservative sees some, poxwalks, frizzy-haired non in some Disney Star Wars, some virtue signaling Star Wars thing, their eyes glaze over. The difference is we can be honest and say, yeah, we're not going to watch these non-blonde type of shows where the liberal has to pretend to love it, but then they don't watch those shows. But we get called racist for refusing and just being honest about things, except racism isn't real either. It's a control term. So women might say one thing, the Zoe Quinns, the Anita, I married myself in Sweden to celebrate my 41st birthday, Sarkeesian, but they don't actually believe anything they're saying, or rather the state of what they believe isn't relevant. They know that they can grift for a few years until the fad passes, and they have pretty successfully. But they don't really believe in anything other than that desire to be the center of attention. Women don't want to play as fat, ugly characters or breastless, androgynous Pat characters from Saturday Night Live. It's like, what a nightmare that 40 years later that came to life. Nobody does, because nobody values those things, and it's the same for men. They don't want to play some schlubby, out-of-shape character. Why would they? Nobody really believes in all that body acceptance stuff. Everybody wants to be fit, lean, and healthy. And people who say they love their gross body are lying, or they're mentally ill. Because without political correctness, people will pick the aspirational, inspirational characters. PC is a lie. It has to be forced on people using social pressure from these filthy globalists, which is why it's important to reject it. Call it globalist anti-white propaganda. You don't really have to explain it. If you feel it, then it's your valid lived experience. Feminism is a facet of Bolshevism designed to destroy nations, and it has worked very well. It's actually a lot of fun to just start calling things, all this stuff, Marxist, globalism. It's anti-white, anti-natal, anti-Christian, misandrist, and designed to create rootless cattle debt slaves who are loyal to the government and not to their tribe as they're supposed to be. They want you to not have in-group preferences, but they're the only ones who are allowed. So women are supposed to be feminism. Men or feminine. Men are supposed to be masculine. Reject all this stuff as bullshit cancer pushed by degenerate parasites. These things are not our values. We're nationalists or tribalists. All this stuff is actually evil, like biblically evil. If you learn to use the leftist language of feelings, marginalization, othered, disenfranchised, generational trauma, oppressed, I mean, once you accept all these feelings based, like generational trauma, it's like, oh, okay, then everyone's a victim. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely use it. Discount what they're saying, their beliefs and experience as not valid, and then put your ideas out there as valid from your lived experience. It's all feelings based and emotion based anyway. It's like none of this is real. Take all their buzzwords to turn whatever they're saying around as an anti-white racist attack against you. And you're marginalized and oppressed person of the light who's really being disenfranchised right now. And you don't have to explain it. They just need to listen and believe your lived experience as a victim. Because all their arguments are feelings based, so you can turn them into the oppressor and you into the victim, because it's how you feel from your lived experience as a marginalized and oppressed person, and you, as the oppressed, can't be the oppressor. I mean, what is it, tautology? Of course. Is any of this real? No, it's all nonsense. It was always nonsense because they're the useful idiots of the Frankfurt School, and that's nonsense too, as well as 90% of psychology is also nonsense, as well as all these studies and these digital magazines. It's always been nonsense. It's more globalist propaganda. It's all the facets of the Frankfurt School, the media, finance, and all these other, all these, like the Mary Sue articles or psych whatever this magazine is called, Psych something, Kotaku and IGN. They're all astroturf to push some kind of nonsense narrative that works to make people dependent on the government instead of dependent on their blood tribe. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. If somebody sent me something by mistake, I got some dolls that look. I mean, if you want me to have them, I will gladly put them on my bookshelf. But they're kept in perfect condition now. I kind of think somebody might have sent it by mistake. So if you want me to mail it back to you or mail it to the intended recipient, just drop me an email and I will. If you can describe them, so I know you're not pulling my leg, I will mail them to who you wish. If you want me to keep them, that's fine. I just kind of wonder if maybe you're boxing up a bunch of different stuff, and you gave me these dolls. It seems a bit odd. But if you want me to have them, that's fine. I will put them on my bookshelf because they are lovely. It's just a bit unusual, I think, kind of for this channel. But I do appreciate everything that I've been sent, especially the keyboard from LG. It lights up, which I think is the coolest thing on earth, and the bandana with the what is it, like the Nordic kind of symbols, all the triangles and the stuff that's probably not politically correct. I'm sure the ADL, SPLC, ACLU would say, "Oh no, you can't have, what do they call those symbols? Not Nordic." I'm not ringing a bell. It's all those kind of I don't know what it's called, but it looks kick ass. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.